Marcus Webb stepped off the transport shuttle and into the gleaming corridors of Harmony Station, his engineering kit slung over one shoulder and a worn duffel bag over the other. At 26, this internship opportunity seemed too good to be true. 6 months aboard the most advanced, multicultural space station in known space, working on cutting-edge technology while earning credits toward his master's degree. He followed the glowing path markers toward the residential quarters, marveling at the station's design. Harmony Station was a massive wheel spinning slowly in space, creating artificial gravity through centrifugal force. Beings from dozens of different worlds moved through the wide hallways, their conversations creating a symphony of familiar and utterly alien languages. Marcus eventually stopped in front of a door marked C7 Delta. He pressed his palm to the bioscanner, heard a soft chime, and stepped inside. The quarters were spacious, with a main living area, kitchen alcove, and two doorways leading to bedrooms. Large viewports showed the star field slowly rotating as the station spun. He was setting his bags down when he heard melodic humming from one of the bedrooms. Marcus frowned. According to his assignment documents, he was supposed to have private quarters. "Hello," he called out. "Is someone there?" The humming stopped. A moment later, a figure appeared in the doorway, and Marcus felt his breath catch. She was small, barely reaching his chest, with graceful limbs and skin that shimmered with an iridescent lavender hue. Her hair was a cascade of silver white that seemed to move with its own gentle breeze, and her eyes were large and golden, with an inner light that made them glow. She wore a simple outfit that looked woven from starlight itself. What struck Marcus most was her expression, pure, uncomplicated joy that made him smile back despite his confusion. "You're here," she exclaimed, her voice like wind chimes. She clapped her hands together. "Oh, this is wonderful. I was starting to worry the transport schedules had gotten mixed up again." "I'm sorry," Marcus said carefully. "I think there might be some mistake. These are supposed to be my quarters. I'm Marcus Webb, the new engineering intern." The small alien tilted her head, her smile growing brighter. "No mistake at all. I'm Naya of the Brightwater clan, House of Stellar Harmonies." She gave a graceful bow. "And you, Marcus Webb of Earth, are my assigned stellar match." Marcus blinked. "My what?" "Your stellar match," Naya repeated cheerfully. "The cosmic compatibility algorithm analyzed your psychological profile, cultural background, biorhythms, and astrological alignment, and determined that we're perfectly suited for each other." "Congratulations." "Suited for what, exactly?" Naya bounced slightly on her toes. "For bonding. Of course. The Celestaran Cultural Exchange Program requires all participants to be paired with compatible partners from other species. It's part of the deep cultural immersion experience." Marcus sank onto the couch. "Nobody mentioned anything about bonding or stellar matches in my application materials." "Really?" Naya looked surprised, pulling out a crystalline device. Holographic text appeared above it. "That's strange. According to my records, you specifically requested participation in the Cultural Bonding Initiative. I applied for an engineering internship. That's it." For the first time, Naya's smile faltered. "Oh dear, this is awkward." "Look, Naya, you seem very nice, but there's obviously been some mistake. I should contact station administration." "Wait," Naya said quickly. "Please, just let me explain. It will only take a few minutes." Something vulnerable in her voice made Marcus pause. "Okay. Explain away." Naya perched on the chair across from him. "The Celestaran Cultural Exchange Program has been in development for over 50 Earth years. My people believe true understanding between species can only come through deep, personal connections, real relationships between individuals." Marcus nodded. That made sense. Theoretically, most beings in cultural exchange programs maintain emotional distance. Naya continued. "They observe and study, but don't truly connect. So the program was designed to encourage genuine bonding through carefully matched partnerships. And you really think we're compatible based on some algorithm?" "I know we are," Naya said with startling certainty. "Would you like me to show you?" She moved to a wall panel, and when she touched it, holographic displays projected into the room. "This is your psychological profile, creative but practical, curious about other cultures, value honesty and loyalty. You have a tendency towards self-doubt despite considerable talents. And you've experienced loneliness, but mask it with humor. Marcus stared, unsettled by the accuracy. Now look at my profile, Naya said. The display shifted. Optimistic, but not. Naive, deeply empathetic, values connection and harmony. Tendency toward people-pleasing despite inner strength. Has experienced isolation due to unconventional thinking. On paper, they did seem remarkably compatible. And this, Naya said reverently, is our compatibility matrix to complex geometric. Patterns slowly rotated toward each other, aligning and glowing brighter until they formed a single, pulsing model of light. 98.7%, Naya whispered. I've never seen a score that high. Marcus stared at the beautiful, mesmerizing pattern. That's impressive. But compatibility on paper doesn't mean we should jump into some bonding ceremony. We don't even know each other. That's the point, Naya said, moving to sit beside him with careful distance. We're supposed to get to know each other. The bonding process takes your entire stay 6 months. The first phase is simply living together, sharing space and meals, learning each other's habits. Then, if we choose to continue, there are ceremonial steps that deepen the bond. And if we don't choose to continue, then we remain friends and cultural exchange partners. Nothing more. But Marcus, she turned to face him fully. I felt something when I first saw you. Something the algorithm couldn't measure, didn't you, Marcus? Thought about that moment when she'd appeared the way his breath had caught, and his heart had skipped. Maybe, he admitted. Naya's smile was like sunrise. Then you'll consider it. Just the first phase, no pressure, no expectations beyond. Friendship and cultural exchange. Marcus looked round the quarters, then at Naya's hopeful expression. There was something magnetic about her enthusiasm, her joy, the way she approached life with such open-hearted curiosity. What exactly would it involve? We share meals, spend time together when schedules allow, learn about each other's cultures. I teach you Chelastaran customs, you teach me human traditions. We maintain separate sleeping arrangements unless we both choose otherwise. And there's really no pressure, I promise, Naya said solemnly. Though I hope you'll give it a real chance. I have a feeling we could be something special together. Marcus studied her genuine warmth, the depths in her golden eyes. When was the last time he'd taken a real risk? When had he last allowed himself to be surprised by life? Okay, he said finally, let's try it. Naya's joy was so radiant that Marcus felt it like physical warmth. Really? Oh, Marcus, this is wonderful. Let's start with being good roommates, Marcus said with a laugh, and see where it goes from there. Should I show you around, help? You get settled? Oh, are you hungry? Though I should ask about human dietary restrictions first. Can you eat crystallized mana fruits? Marcus chuckled, already charmed. How about we start with coffee? Please tell me this station has coffee. Coffee, Naya exclaimed as if he'd mentioned something wonderfully exotic. A human stimulant beverage. I've been hoping to try it. Well then, Marcus said, getting to his feet, let's start your cultural education. As Naya led him toward the kitchen, chattering excitedly about human culture, Marcus felt a strange sense of rightness. Maybe the cosmic compatibility algorithm was onto something after all. Outside the viewports, the stars continued their slow dance as harmony station spun through the void. In the small quarters that would be their shared home, two souls from different worlds began discovering what it might mean to truly connect across the vast distances of space. The universe had decided they were a perfect match. Now they just had to figure out what to do about it. The first week of living with Naya was like trying to solve a puzzle, where half the pieces belonged to a completely different picture. Marcus discovered this on his second morning, when he stumbled into the kitchen, bleary-eyed and desperate for coffee, only to find Naya sitting cross-legged on the counter, apparently having a conversation with the food synthesizer. Good morning, friend machine, she was saying in her melodic voice. I was hoping you might help me understand why Marcus makes that wonderful bitter drink from little brown seeds when you can produce much more nutritious beverages. The synthesizer, being a machine, did not respond, but Naya waited patiently, as if expecting it to. Naya. Marcus said gently, the food synthesizer isn't. It doesn't talk back. She turned to him with those luminous golden eyes, not looking embarrassed in the slightest. "Oh, I know it can't speak, but my grandmother always said that machines work better when you're polite to them. They have spirits, you know." "Spirits," Marcus repeated, trying to process this while his uncaffeinated brain struggled to function. "Everything has a spirit," Naya explained matter-of-factly, hopping down from the counter with fluid grace. "Machines, plants, stars, people, the spirits like to be acknowledged." Marcus filed this under cultural differences to explore later and focused on the more immediate problem. "Did you say you were trying to understand coffee?" "Yes, I've been thinking about it all night. On Shelastara, we drink starshine tea. It's made from flowers that only bloom during solar flares. But coffee comes from seeds, and humans consume it even though it tastes bitter. I'm trying to understand the cultural significance." Despite his grogginess, Marcus found himself charmed by her earnest curiosity. "Would you like me to make you some? The real way, not from the synthesizer." Naya's face lit up like he'd offered her treasure. "You know the ancient human coffee rituals?" "I wouldn't call them ancient," Marcus said with a laugh, "but yeah, I know how to make coffee the old-fashioned way." He'd brought a small manual coffee maker from Earth, along with a precious supply of real beans. As he went through the familiar motions of grinding, measuring, and brewing, Naya watched with rapt attention, asking questions about every step. "The grinding releases the essence?" she asked, leaning close to inhale the aroma. "Something like that. The oils and compounds that give coffee its flavor. And the hot water is like a blessing, drawing out the spirit of the beans." Marcus paused, considering this. "You know what? That's actually not a bad way to think about it." When he handed her the finished cup, Naya held it reverently, breathing in the steam before taking a careful sip. Her expression went through several rapid changes: surprise, contemplation, then something approaching wonder. "Oh," she said softly, "it's not just bitter, it's complex, like tasting a sunrise." That might be the most poetic description of coffee I've ever heard. Do all humans start their day with sunrise in a cup? The smart ones do. This became their first shared ritual morning coffee together before their respective duties began. Marcus worked in the engineering department, helping maintain the station's complex systems, while Naya served as a cultural liaison for newly arrived Celastarans. But their real education happened in the evenings, when they would sit in their shared living space and trade stories about their worlds. "Tell me about Earth weather," Naya said one night, curled up on her end of the couch with a cup of her beloved starshine tea. "I've read about rain, but I don't understand why humans enjoy standing in water that falls from the sky." Marcus thought for a moment. "It's hard to explain. There's something about rain that feels cleansing, I guess, like the world is washing itself clean. On Shalastara, we have crystal storms instead of rain. The air fills with tiny singing crystals that chime when they touch things. Children dance in them. That sounds beautiful." "It is, but it doesn't clean anything. The crystals just add sparkle to everything for days afterward." Naya smiled at the memory. "I'd like to experience rain someday." "Maybe we can find a holodeck program," Marcus suggested. "I could show you a thunderstorm. Would you really?" The hope in her voice made his chest tight. "Of course." The holodeck session became their next shared adventure. Marcus programmed a gentle spring rain, and Naya's reaction to feeling water drops for the first time was pure magic. She laughed and spun with arms outstretched, her silver hair catching the artificial droplets like jewels. "It's warm," she exclaimed, "and it smells like growing things." "That's petrichor," Marcus told her. "The scent that comes when rain hits Earth. Petrichor." Naya repeated carefully, as if committing the word to memory. "Humans have such specific words for beautiful things. So do Celastarans. You have 17 different words for the color blue, because there are 17 different kinds of blue." Naya said seriously, "How can you properly appreciate the sky without knowing the difference between sorrow blue and hope blue?" These conversations stretched late into the station's night cycle, creating an intimacy that surprised Marcus with its naturalness. He found himself looking forward to their evenings together, to Naya's unique perspective on everything from human music to the philosophical implications of ice cream, frozen sweetness that melts as you consume it. She mused after trying vanilla ice cream for the first time. It's like eating happiness that you know won't last. Very profound, Marcus. I never thought of ice cream as existential. Everything is existential if you think about it properly. The breakthrough came during their third week, when Elder Voss arrived for what Naya called a progress evaluation. Voss was ancient even by Chelastaran's standards, his lavender skin so pale it was almost white, his golden eyes dimmed with age but still sharp with intelligence. So, he said in accented standard, studying Marcus with interest, "This is the human who has captured young Naya's enthusiasm." "Elder Voss," Naya said formally, "may I present Marcus Webb of Earth? Marcus, this is Elder Voss, keeper of bonding traditions, and my family's spiritual advisor." Marcus stood and offered what he hoped was a respectful bow. "It's an honor to meet you, Elder." Voss's weathered face crinkled into a smile. "Politeness, good. Naya tells me you have been learning our ways while teaching her yours. Is this true?" "We've been sharing our cultures, yes, sir." "Show me," Voss said simply. What followed was an impromptu cultural exchange that felt more like a performance. Naya demonstrated the coffee ritual she'd learned, explaining its significance in human bonding customs with an accuracy that impressed Marcus. Then Marcus attempted a Chelastaran greeting dance, stumbling through the graceful movements while Naya called out corrections and encouragement. "Bend your wrists more, like water flowing. Yes, like that." He probably looked ridiculous, but Naya's delighted laughter made it worthwhile. When he finally completed the sequence badly, but completely, she clapped her hands with genuine joy. "Very good," Elder Voss said, and Marcus wasn't sure if he was being polite or sincere. "You both are learning, but tell me, young human, what do you think of our Naya?" The question caught Marcus off guard with its directness. He looked at Naya, who was watching him with an unreadable expression, and found himself speaking from the heart. "I think she's remarkable," he said honestly. "She sees magic in everything, even coffee makers. She makes me notice things I never paid attention to before. She's kind and curious and—" He paused, realizing how much he meant what he was saying. "She makes me want to be better than I am." Naya's cheeks flushed a deeper shade of lavender, and she smiled so softly it made Marcus's heart skip. Elder Voss nodded slowly. "And you, child? What do you think of this human?" "He teaches me new ways to see familiar things," Naya said quietly. "He's patient with my questions and thoughtful with his answers. He makes me feel—" She hesitated, then looked directly at Marcus. "He makes me feel understood." Something shifted in that moment, a recognition that passed between them like an electric current. What had started as cultural curiosity was becoming something deeper, more personal. Elder Voss must have sensed it too, because his ancient smile widened. "Good," he said simply. "Very good indeed." That night, after Elder Voss had left, Marcus and Naya sat on their couch with unusual quietness between them. The casual ease of the past weeks had transformed into something more charged, more aware. "Marcus," Naya said softly, "yeah, I'm glad the universe chose you." He reached over and gently took her hand, marveling at how perfectly it fit in his. "Me too, Naya." "Me too." Outside their viewport, the stars wheeled in their ancient patterns, and to hearts from different worlds beat in slowly synchronizing rhythm. The harmony testing chamber looked like the inside of a crystal giada, its faceted walls pulsing with soft bioluminescent patterns. Marcus stood in the center beside Naya, both of them wearing thin circlets that felt warm against their skin. The emotional resonance test measures how well your feelings synchronize, explained technician Zara, a tall Chelastaran with intricate tattoos spiraling down her arms. "Simply be yourselves. Let your emotions flow naturally." "What happens if we fail?" Marcus asked, adjusting the unfamiliar headpiece. "You don't fail," Naya said gently, taking his hand. "You just learn where you need to grow together." The chamber filled with a low harmonic hum. Immediately, Marcus felt something shift in his consciousness, not intrusive, but like a door had opened in his mind. He could sense Naya's presence, not just physically, but emotionally. Her nervous excitement thrummed alongside his own uncertainty. "Tell me about your first day on Harmony Station," Naya said, her voice taking on a formal quality he'd never heard before. "I was terrified," Marcus admitted. and felt the emotion echo back to him, amplified through their connection. Everything was unknown, but then I saw you, and somehow, he paused, feeling vulnerable. Somehow I felt less alone. Through their link, he felt Naya's surprise, then a warm bloom of affection that made his chest tight. I was afraid you'd reject the matching, she whispered. I'd waited so long for the algorithm to find me someone, and when I saw your profile, I hoped. Her emotions poured through the connection, longing, hope, the deep fear of abandonment that Marcus recognized because it mirrored his own. The chamber's crystals began to glow brighter, their patterns shifting from random sparkles to synchronized waves that moved between them like visual music. Beautiful, Technician Zara murmured. Your emotional frequencies are aligning faster than I've ever seen. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes as Naya's feelings intertwined with his own. Her joy at his presence, her amazement at his gentleness, her growing attachment that she'd been too afraid to voice. In return, his own carefully guarded emotions flowed toward her, his fascination with her perspective, his admiration for her courage, the way she made him feel like the best version of himself. When the test ended and the connection faded, they stood looking at each other with new understanding. Something had fundamentally changed between them. 96% synchronization. Zara announced, her voice filled with awe. I've never recorded anything above 85%. That evening, Naya arranged a holographic call with her family on Celestera. Marcus found himself facing a room full of Celestarans, whose resemblance to Naya was unmistakable. The same luminous golden eyes, the same silver-white hair, though theirs showed the deeper lavender hues of age. So this is the human who has captured our Naya's heart, said an elderly Celestaran whose ornate robes marked her as someone of importance. Grandmotherless, Naya said with a mix of affection and embarrassment. This is Marcus. Hello, honored grandmother, Marcus said, attempting the formal bow Naya had taught him. Ooh, he knows the traditional greeting, piped up a voice from the back. A young Celestaran pushed forward, barely more than a child, with Naya's bright smile and mischievous eyes. I'm Pip. Naya's told us all about your coffee rituals and how you dance like a falling tree. Pip, Naya gasped, her cheeks flushing. Deeper lavender. What? It's what you said, but you also said it was endearing. Marcus laughed, immediately charmed by Naya's younger sibling. Nice to meet you, Pip, and yes, I do dance like a falling tree. Your sister is very patient with my attempts at grace. The family interrogation that followed was thorough but warm. They asked about his intentions, his family, his understanding of Celestaran culture. But it was Pip who asked the question that mattered most. Do you make Naya happy, Marcus human? Marcus looked at Naya, who was watching him with hopeful eyes. I hope so. She certainly makes me happy. Good, Pip declared. Because if you hurt her, I'll learn human fighting techniques and challenge you to combat. Pip. Several family members chorused, but Marcus grinned. I wouldn't expect anything less from Naya's sibling. After the call ended, Marcus and Naya walked through the station's observation deck, looking out at the stars. They weren't alone. Several other couples moved through the space, including other humans from the cultural exchange program. Marcus, a familiar voice called out. He turned to see Juno Rivera, a fellow engineer he'd known at the academy. She approached with a bright smile, her arm linked with a tall, crystalline being that glittered like living diamond. Juno, I didn't know you were on Harmony Station. Got here last week. This is my assigned partner, Quill. We're in the archetypal cultural immersion program. She looked curiously at Naya. And you must be Naya, Marcus said, his hand finding hers naturally. My stellar match. Stellar match? Juno's eyebrows rose. That's the bonding program, isn't it? Marcus, you know that's basically alien marriage, right? Marcus felt Naya tense beside him, and through their newly enhanced connection, he sensed her spike of anxiety. It's cultural exchange, Marcus said carefully. We're learning about each other's traditions. If you say so, Juno said with a knowing smile. Though you should know, there are several human women in the program who've been asking about you, specifically whether you were actually committed to this arrangement. The jealousy that hit Marcus was unexpected and fierce. The idea of other humans pursuing him, of having to explain or defend his connection with Naya, made something protective surge in his chest. I'm not available, he said firmly, surprising himself with his certainty. Juno blinked at his intensity. Okay. Just thought you should know your options. After Juno and Kwa moved on, Marcus and Naya stood in awkward silence. You don't have to declare yourself unavailable for me, Naya said quietly. I know this is just cultural exchange. I know you have other options. Marcus stopped walking and turned to face her fully. Naya, look at me. She raised her golden eyes to his, and he saw uncertainty there, vulnerability that made his heart ache. I don't want other options, he said, his voice low and intense. I know this started as an assignment, but it's not that anymore. Not for me. What is it for you? Marcus took a deep breath, knowing that his next words would change everything. Between them, it's falling in love with someone I never expected to meet. Someone who sees magic in coffee makers and teaches me new ways to understand the universe. Naya's eyes widened, and through their emotional connection from the testing, he felt her heart leap. Marcus, she whispered, are you saying? I'm saying that cosmic compatibility algorithm got it right. I'm saying that I don't care if it's supposed to be just cultural exchange. He cupped her face gently in his hands. I'm falling for you, Naya. Hard. The smile that broke across her face was like starlight. I've been falling for you since you let me watch you make coffee, she admitted. I just didn't know if humans could feel the same kind of deep bonding that Celestarans do. This human can, Marcus said softly. This human does. When he kissed her for the first time, her lips tasted like starshine tea and possibility. The station's artificial gravity seemed insufficient to keep him grounded, and for a moment, Marcus understood why Celestarans believed in cosmic harmony. Around them, the universe continued its ancient dance, but Marcus only cared about the small, luminous being in his arms who had somehow become his entire world. So, Naya murmured against his lips, does this mean we're moving to the second phase of bonding? If you'll have me, Marcus whispered back. Always, she said, and meant it. With every fiber of her being, the testing phase was complete. The real journey was just beginning. The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, delivered with the clinical efficiency that made bad news somehow worse. Marcus stared at the holographic text floating above his personal communicator, reading it for the third time as if the words might change. Worth Diplomatic Corps regrets to inform you that the Harmony Station Cultural Exchange Program has experienced significant budget reductions. Your internship assignment will be terminated in 2 weeks rather than the originally scheduled 3 months. Please prepare for immediate reassignment to Europa Station. No, he whispered. Then louder, no, Marcus. Naya's voice came from the kitchen, where she was preparing their morning coffee, a ritual she'd adopted with characteristic enthusiasm. Is everything all right? He couldn't answer immediately. 2 weeks, after everything they'd shared, everything they'd discovered about each other, he had 2 weeks left. Naya appeared in the doorway, concern creasing her delicate features. She took one look at his face and was beside him instantly, her warm hands covering his. What is it? Budget cuts, Marcus said, his voice hollow. They're ending my internship early. I have to leave for Europa Station in 2 weeks. The color drained from Naya's lavender skin, leaving her looking almost translucent. 2 weeks. But we haven't. We were supposed to have 3 more months to complete the bonding phases. I know. Marcus stood abruptly, pacing to the viewport where the stars looked suddenly cold and distant. I can try to appeal it, but bureaucracy moves slowly, and they want me on Europa by the 1st of next month. Naya followed him, her reflection ghost-like in the reinforced glass. What does this mean for us? I don't know. The helplessness in his own voice made Marcus angry. Long-distance relationships are hard enough when both people are human and living on the same planet, at different species and different solar systems. You're saying it's impossible. Marcus turned to face her, seeing the careful way she was holding herself, as if preparing for a blow. I'm saying it's complicated. Complicated. Naya's voice was quiet, but he caught the edge of hurt underneath. That's a very human word for things you don't want to deal with. That's not fair, isn't it? Naya's golden eyes flashed with an emotion Marcus had never seen from her. Anger. You told me you were falling in love with me. Was that just, what do humans call it, a vacation? Romance? Of course not. Marcus reached for her, but she stepped back. Then fight for this, fight for us. How? Should I abandon my career? Give up everything I've worked for? The question hung between them like a blade. Naya stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. Slowly, I see, she said with devastating calm. You've already made your choice. She walked away, leaving Marcus alone with the stars and the bitter taste of words he couldn't take back. The next few days passed in painful politeness. They maintained their routines, shared meals, evening conversations, but the easy intimacy was gone, replaced by careful distance. Marcus threw himself into his remaining work, trying to ignore the hollow feeling in his chest. It was during one of these long days in engineering that Director Harrison found him. Harrison was a stern-faced, human administrator who ran Harmony Station with ruthless efficiency. Webb, Harrison said, appearing at Marcus's workstation, I need to speak with you. They walked to Harrison's office in silence. The space was austere, decorated only with efficiency reports and duty rosters. I understand you're upset about the early termination, Harrison began without preamble. But I need you to understand something. The Cultural Bonding Initiative is under review by the Earth Diplomatic Corps. There are concerns about emotional entanglements affecting professional judgment. Marcus felt ice form in his stomach, meaning that several human participants have requested extended assignments or permanent transfers to remain with their alien partners. The Corps views this as potentially compromising to human interests, and you agree with them. Harrison leaned back in his chair. What I think is irrelevant. What matters is that you're a promising young engineer with a bright future ahead of you. Don't throw it away for an infatuation with an alien. It's not an infatuation, isn't it? Harrison's smile was cold. How well do you really know her? Webb, how do you know this isn't just some elaborate way for her species to gain influence over humans? That's ridiculous, is it? The Celestarans are new to galactic politics. An alliance with Earth could be very beneficial to them. Marcus stood abruptly. If you're suggesting that Naya is manipulating me, I'm suggesting that you're thinking with your heart instead of your head, and that's dangerous for everyone involved. That evening, Marcus returned to their quarters to find Naya entertaining a visitor, a male Celastaran, with the bearing of nobility and features that made Marcus's chest tighten. With an unwelcome emotion, Marcus, Naya said, rising from the couch with forced brightness, this is Kes of the Moonwater clan. He's a diplomatic attaché from Celestara. Kes stood and offered a perfect formal bow. He was tall for a Celastaran, with deeper lavender skin and silver hair that caught the light like spun metal. Everything about him spoke of refinement and status, the famous human partner. Kes said in accented standard, I have heard much about you, have you? Marcus replied, not bothering to hide his wariness. Kes brought news from home, Naya said. Quickly, the Celastaran Council is very pleased with how the bonding program is progressing. So pleased, Kes added smoothly, that they've extended an invitation for you to complete your cultural exchange on Celestara. Itself a great honor. Marcus looked between them, seeing something in their body language that made his suspicions sharpen. That's generous, but as I'm sure Naya told you, my assignment is ending early. Unfortunate setback, Kes agreed, but perhaps not permanent. I understand there are ways for humans to extend their stays if they're willing to commit to the program fully. Commit how? Kes smiled, and Marcus caught the briefest glance that passed between him and Naya. By progressing to the formal bonding ceremony, of course. Fully bonded partners receive special diplomatic status. Marcus felt the trap closing around him. And if I'm not ready for that level of commitment, then perhaps, Kes said with gentle regret, it would be kinder to end things now, before anyone gets more attached. That night, after Kes had left, Marcus and Naya faced each other across their living room like strangers. He's right, isn't he? Marcus said finally. We're fooling ourselves thinking this can work. Are we? Naya's voice was small. Or are you looking for an excuse to leave? That's not fair. Neither is asking me to wait indefinitely while you decide if I'm worth disrupting your carefully planned life. Marcus ran his hands through his hair, frustration boiling over. It's not that simple. I have responsibilities, obligations, and I don't. Naya's eyes blazed. I have family expectations, cultural duties. Kes reminded me today that I could have my pick of appropriate Celestaran partners, ones who wouldn't see our bond as a complication to be managed. The jealousy that hit Marcus was sharp and immediate. Is that what you want? Someone like Kes? I want someone who chooses me, Naya said quietly. Not someone who has to be convinced I'm worth choosing. They stared at each other across the sudden chasm that had opened between them. Marcus wanted to bridge it, to take her in his arms and promise that everything would work out. But Harrison's words echoed in his mind, along with the practical reality of careers and distances and two species that might be too different to make this work. Maybe, he said carefully, we should take some time to think about what we really want. Naya's face went very still. Time, she repeated. Another human word for giving up, Naya, no. She held up a hand, and Marcus saw tears gathering in her golden eyes. You're right. We should think about what we want. Because I already know what I want, Marcus. I want you, but I won't beg you to want me back. She walked to her bedroom, pausing at the doorway without turning around. For what it's worth, she said softly, I think the universe made a mistake this time. You're not my perfect match after all. The door closed behind her with a quiet finality that echoed in Marcus's chest like a physical pain. He stood alone in their shared living space, surrounded by the artifacts of their time together, her starshine tea beside his coffee maker, human, books mixed with Celestaran poetry crystals, two lives that had intertwined and were now pulling apart. Outside the viewport, the stars continued their ancient dance, indifferent to the small tragedy playing out in the quarters below. Marcus pressed his forehead against the cool glass and wondered if love was supposed to hurt this much, or if that was just another complication he wasn't brave enough to face. Marcus's shuttle was scheduled to depart in 6 hours. His belongings were packed, his transfer orders confirmed, and his future mapped out in neat, predictable lines. Europa Station, a promotion track, a career that would take him exactly where he'd always planned to go. So why was he sitting in Harmony Station's observation lounge, staring at the stars and feeling like he was about to make the biggest mistake of his life? You look like someone who's lost something important. Marcus turned to find Elder Voss settling into the chair beside him, moving with the careful dignity of great age. The elderly Celestaran's golden eyes held a wisdom that seemed to see straight through Marcus's carefully constructed rationalizations. Elder Voss, Marcus said, straightening, I didn't expect to see you again. I came for the bonding ceremony of another couple, Voss said gently. But I heard about your situation, and Naya's. Marcus's chest tightened at her name. They hadn't spoken since their argument 3 days ago, maintaining a careful dance of avoidance in their shared quarters. She'd been spending most of her time with Kes, who had extended his stay to provide cultural support during this difficult transition. She'll be fine, Marcus said, the words tasting like ash. Kes seems appropriate. Appropriate, Voss's laugh was dry as autumn leaves. Yes, Kes is very appropriate. Proper family lineage, political connections, conventional in every way that matters to the council. Then she'll be happy. Will she? Voss studied Marcus with those ancient eyes. Tell me, young human, do you know why the cosmic compatibility algorithm was truly created? Marcus frowned. For cultural exchange, to promote understanding between species. That was the secondary purpose, Voss said softly. The primary purpose was much simpler. We discovered, you see, that true love transcends species barriers, but it's rare, perhaps 1 in 10,000 connections, has the potential for genuine soul bonding across species. The algorithm was designed to find those rare pairs. Soul bonding? What your people might call soulmates, Voss explained, to beings whose spirits are complementary halves of a greater whole. When such pairs are separated, he shook his head sadly. Neither is ever complete again. Marcus felt ice form in his veins. You're saying Naya and I are the highest compatibility score in the algorithm's 50-year history, Voss confirmed. 98.7%. Do you understand what you're walking away from? Before Marcus could answer, his communicator chimed with an incoming message. The holographic display showed his sister Jenny calling from Earth, her familiar face appearing in miniature above the device. Marcus, thank God you answered. I only have a few minutes before my shift starts. Jenny, what's wrong? You look terrible. I know. Listen, I got your message about the transfer. Are you completely insane? Marcus glanced at Elder Voss, who had politely turned away to give them privacy. It's a good career move. Europa Station. I don't care about Europa Station, Jenny interrupted. I care about my brother, who spent the last 3 months sending me messages that made him sound happier than I've ever heard him. Every message was Naya this and Naya that, and you should see how she laughs. Jenny, until I was ready to book passage just to meet this miracle woman. It's complicated. No, it's not. Jenny's expression was fierce. Marcus, when Dad died, you took care of everyone. When I wanted to quit medical school, you talked me through it. When Tom's business failed, you helped him rebuild. You've spent your entire life being responsible and practical and putting everyone else first. Marcus felt his throat tighten. What's your point? My point is that for once in your life, you found something that makes you happy, and you're about to throw it away because it's not practical. Jenny's eyes blazed with frustration. Dad would be ashamed of you. The connection ended, leaving Marcus staring at the empty air where her image had been. Wise sister, Elder Voss observed quietly. She doesn't understand the complications, neither do you, Voss interrupted gently. Would you like to know what the real complication is? Marcus looked at him warily. Fear. Voss said simply, you're afraid that loving Naya means losing yourself. But what you don't understand is that love doesn't diminish you, it reveals who you truly are. 3 hours later, Marcus stood outside Naya's quarters, their quarters, with his hand raised to knock. Through the door, he could hear voices, Naya and Kes, speaking in rapid Chalastaran. He was about to turn away when he caught his own name. Marcus never understood what the bonding truly meant. Kes was saying, humans are too practical for soul-deep connections. You're wrong. Naya's voice was quiet but firm. Marcus understood. He has responsibilities, as do you. The council expects. The council can expect whatever they like. Naya interrupted, her voice growing stronger. I won't bond with someone I don't love just to meet their expectations. And if he leaves, if you spend your life waiting for someone who chose duty over love. There was a long pause. Then at least I'll have had something real, even if it was brief. I'd rather have loved and lost Marcus than never have loved at all. Marcus's hand was shaking as he finally knocked. The voices inside went silent. Then Naya's approached the door. Marcus, she sounded surprised, uncertain. Can we talk, please? The door slid open, revealing Naya's familiar face, though her golden eyes were red-rimmed from crying. Behind her, Kes stood with barely concealed disapproval. I should go, Kes said stiffly. Yes. Marcus agreed, never taking his eyes off Naya. You should. After Kes left, Marcus and Naya stood facing each other in the quarters that held so many memories. Your shuttle, Naya began. I canceled it. Her eyes widened. What? I resigned from the Earth Diplomatic Corps this morning, Marcus continued, his heart hammering. I applied for civilian status and requested permission to complete the bonding ceremony. Marcus, no, your career will be there later if I want it, but you won't be. He stepped closer, taking her hands in his. Jenny reminded me of something today. I've spent my whole life being practical, making safe choices, but the best thing that ever happened to me was completely impractical. A small alien who was assigned to be my wife and somehow became my everything. Tears spilled down Naya's cheeks. The council will never approve of full bonding with someone who abandoned his career. Then we'll make our own traditions, Marcus said fiercely. We'll write our own rules. We'll find a colony world that accepts mixed couples and build something new together. You'd really do that? Give up everything for an uncertain future? Marcus cupped her face gently, his thumbs brushing away her tears. I'd rather have an uncertain future with you than a certain future without you. I love you, Naya, not because some algorithm says we're compatible, but because you make me believe in magic again. When she kissed him, it tasted like starshine tea and forgiveness and futures yet to be written. So, she whispered against his lips, I guess the universe was right after all. About what? That you're my perfect match. She smiled through her tears. Even if you are completely impractical. 6 months later, they stood hand in hand on the observation deck of New Harmony. A joint human-Chalistaran colony world where mixed couples could build lives together. Without interference from either government, Marcus wore traditional Chalistaran bonding robes, while Naya had chosen a human wedding dress that shimmered like captured starlight. Elder Voss performed the ceremony, mixing traditions from both their worlds into something entirely new. By the ancient bonds of earth and star, he intoned, by compatibility of spirit and choice of heart, I pronounce you stellar bonded for all the days of your lives. As they kissed under an alien sky filled with two suns, Marcus marveled at how much his life had changed from that first day on Harmony Station. He'd lost his carefully planned career, but gained something infinitely more valuable. Any regrets? Naya murmured. Marcus looked at his radiant wife, at the new world spreading around them, at the future they would build together, not a single one, he said, and meant it with every fiber of his being. The universe had decided they were a perfect match, and for once, the universe had gotten it exactly right.